Let's have a little chat. If you've been keeping up with the news, I'm sure I don't have to explain to you what's been happening because what's been happening is so ungodly awful and embarrassing for the country as a whole that even a news group as shady as Fox can't like launder it behind aggressive language. What's been happening is just that egregious. And it's as a lot of us have been trying to explain to people, Trump is guilty of many things. He is not a good person. And I'm sorry that it took some of you this long to realize that. At this point, I'm not even angry. I'm just, I guess the words I would be looking for would be upset, and I think what I'm trying to say is this. There's a certain way I like to think of people who voted for Trump depending on which election they voted for him for. People who voted for him in 2016, I don't really harbor much ill will towards because before 2016, not a lot of people really knew who Trump was. They just saw him as that weird billionaire guy who has a hotel in New York and was on the Home Alone movie once. It wasn't really much more than that. I don't think people who voted for Trump in 2016 could have seen any of the stuff that was coming in the next decade to follow. But if you voted for Trump in 2020, I think you do have a lot of questions you need to ask yourself, like why it was that you voted for him. No, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. We all know Trump is racist. We know he's sexist. And we know he's a fake populist who will just say whatever gets him votes and do whatever thing makes people like him, or at least makes him think people like him. He's about as empty as his policies are as a person. So, with that said, I don't hate people who voted for him in 2020. You just gotta ask why. I mean, granted, Biden was not much better, like, at all. I voted for him not because I believed in anything he said, but just because realistically he was the only one projected to win against Trump, and we had seen the kind of damage he did during the COVID lockdowns. And I just really did not want to have to deal with that again because, holy hell, enough people had already died from COVID. And then something interesting happened. Something I don't think anyone expected. The Jan 6 riot. I think up until that point, there had been a certain expectation of civility, even amongst the worst out there. There was a sort of mutual understanding that violence just wasn't the way to go. And then Trump threw a wrench into that. He incited people to go to the Capitol and take the election back because they stole it from us. And it was just the most absurd thing I think I had ever seen a president say. And watching it all unfold on the news was like, I felt like I was watching 9/11. I was literally like, I was a toddler when 9/11 was happening, so I guess seeing the Jan 6 riots was kind of, I guess, a taste of how scared people must have been then. It was unreal. Like, it was so bad that even people who defended Trump were like, "Yeah, no, this is really bad. You have to, you have to disavow this." They weren't being genuine, of course, but it kind of said something that even they were distancing themselves. The Ben Shapiro's and Tucker Carlson's of the world were all clutching their pearls, like, "No, this is not the way to do democracy," and it was all a show. I feel like I just feel like we've come so far from those expectations of civility now. And then there was the 2024 election. By that time, there was just so much that Trump had done and so much that had come out about him that just, I'm gonna be real, it made my blood boil. It made a lot of people's blood boil. I can already hear people being like, ah, lib tears or drinking um, liberal tears, whatever. I don't fucking care about that honestly anymore. It's just frustrating, right? Because you spend so long trying to warn people and trying to inform people of so many things that can be so easily avoided, and it just happens anyway. People go full steam ahead. They pick their candidate that they swear will make the country great again, even though you see the writing on the wall. Whether that be the past actions of this person, whether that be the rhetoric they spout mirroring that of a certain Austrian painter, whether it be the fact that just about every word out of his mouth is either completely made up or something that he heard once and just, you get it. He's a liar. He's a compulsive liar. We've known this for a long time. Then came 2024 election, and I think I had been the most angry, scared I think I had ever been in my entire life. I remember being in a GTA Online car meet server at that time. Hell, you guys have probably seen some videos I made, you know, with the help of people in that server. At the time, I even had videos like celebrating uh, member milestones that the server had, and I deleted them because at the time of that election, I had been in the server for, I'm pretty sure, well over a year, and they were all talking about Trump and gassing him up until the 2024 election. And then when he won and people in the server celebrated, I just had enough. I spoke I spoke my grievances and I left with a rant. I just had enough. One of my brothers voted for Trump too. I have a brother who's like hardcore MAGA. I had to get contact with him for a while too. I just had enough. My dad was upset with it too. He had served in the Marines, and for his own son to have voted for someone who was so unbelievably un-American was just, it was depressing for both of us. And just, yeah. I do think I do think things will change. There's a lot of people waking up to what's been happening. And if you're watching this and you had voted for Trump, especially if you had voted for Trump last election, I don't want you to think of this video as an I told you so or anything like that. That's not what this is about. I want you to think of this video as coming home one day and realizing you had made a mistake and looking for guidance on what to do next. It's not in my nature to hate people. It's just not. I don't have it in me to be cruel to anyone, even people I don't like. I've been so angry for so long that now I'm just depressed. And if anything is to come out of all of this that's happened with Trump, from the Epstein files to Jan 6 to JD Vance to the Heritage Foundation to the Russian voting scandals to everything, just everything, every terrible thing he has done. I want the takeaway to be this. It is still not too late to fix this. Trump would not be doubling down so hard right now if he was already in control. There are still ways you and I can push back. Do you live in a suburb? Good. That means there's people around you. Talk to your neighbors, connect with them. If you live in an apartment, even better. It'll be even easier to connect. Have a workplace? Join a union. Don't know where to go? Ask the people around you. But we can't let it end like this. We can't let these bastards win. But yeah, I know this is a completely different video than you're used to seeing on this channel, but I think it needs to be said. I think these things need to be talked about. That's it for now. I promise the next video will be back to the usual stuff, but I wanted to put this out. So, yeah, see you next time. I'm out.